Hi and welcome to the video. Today we'll be looking at Yoto Hime, a new hero in Naraka Blade Point. She's really high powered and got some really interesting skill and ultimate variants. So her skill is called Spirit Slash. You throw your sword out and it hangs in the air for 3.5 seconds. Use the skill again to teleport over to it and attack, and if you manage to kill the enemy with it, you'll reset your cooldown. It also blocks all non-explosive projectiles like arrows. Her second variant is called Spirit Slash Crush, which makes the sword hang in the air for 5 seconds. Using the attack again, instead of teleporting you over to the blade, teleports the blade over to you and you do an attack on the spot. This can also be used when you're under attack. It blocks non-explosive projectiles, but it can't reset its cooldown. Next up, we have Vortex. It's the same as Crush, but you can't teleport to your blade. However, on top of non-explosive projectiles, it also blocks melee attacks. If you're going to make the most of that 3.5 or 5 seconds hang time that the sword gets with this skill, you need to remember that it starts when it hits an object or a person. So if you aim at the floor, it will start immediately. Now let's look at her ultimate variants. Yoto's ultimate Ominous Blade summons a massive sword, which she swings 3 times. Enemies hit with it are afflicted with piercing vision, which means that everybody can see their health bar. In between each sword swing, you can left click to throw it in a direction and teleport immediately over for the next swing. During Ominous Blade, Yoto absorbs up to 6 cairns left behind by fallen players, ramping up the damage she deals. The second variant is called Ominous Blade Restore, and instead of using these cairns to increase her damage, they instead grant her health and armor. The third variant, called Combo, doesn't absorb cairns at all, but what it does do is give you an extra 3 sword strikes, for a total of 6. Yoto Hime is a DPS hero, and she also really relies upon her ultimate for dealing damage and staying alive in a battlefield. She needs to have enough energy at her disposal for all of that combat, and she needs her ultimate to be ready again fast. So, let's look at a good all-round glyph setup for her. Set your origin glyphs to Savagery to boost your rage per second and have her ultimate ready again as soon as possible. For Omni, choose Mind to raise your max energy and to make her ready for anything that battle throws at her. Now if you're a sharp shot with a grappling hook, you could set your solar glyphs here at the bottom to Flight for that distance bonus, but if getting up close and personal is more your thing, you go for Genius instead to shorten your skill cooldowns. Yoto's primary skill, Spirit Slash, has a pretty long cooldown, so this one definitely comes in useful. And for Luna up top, I would suggest 3 agility and 3 enrage. This will keep your energy consumption low while building up your rage, so your ultimate shouldn't be recharging for too long after you use it. This is a good all-rounder glyph setup. Which skill do you want to be using? Basically any can work, though the first one can knock enemies airborne, which is great in terms of defense, good for combos and for ambushing the enemy. Watch that you don't get interrupted by a blue focus strike, however. Mess up the timing and you'll teleport smack bang in the middle of the enemy's attack. The second skill variant, Spirit Slash Crush, lends itself more to be used in retaliation when you're under attack. To make the most of that teleport, you'll need to use it preemptively, so you can get out of the sticky situation. It's got its uses, but it's certainly limited as well. You've got to use it in advance, and experienced players will probably know that you're trying to teleport as soon as you first cast it. The third variant, Spirit Slash Vortex, also blocks melee attacks as well as ranged non-explosive projectiles. So a good way to use this is if you're taking lots of damage, stand in the middle and heal yourself up. Enemies won't be able to attack you, so you can heal in safety. It sounds pretty strong, and it is, but the only issue is it's kind of passive, and it's used in defense, which isn't useful if you're wanting to make the first move. You're not invincible either, as it doesn't block explosives or enemy skills, so if they've got an offensive skill then you're in trouble. So which one you go for kind of depends on your playstyle. If you're more active and you start fights yourself, then the primary skill, Spirit Slash, is a must. If you play more defensively though, the second one, Crush, is better suited as a countermeasure skill. And if you want to bait enemies into thinking you're weakened and then hitting hard with a counterattack, then Vortex is a good choice for that as well. The original Spirit Slash lends itself more to repositioning, offense, and linking together combos, so it's less situational than the other two. As for the ultimate, most people tend to go for the third, Ominous Blade Combo. The other two variants draw power from nearby cairns, but it's not actually that often you're surrounded by them, either in solos or trios, and that's what makes combo a good choice. It doesn't rely on them for power, and it gives you 3 extra strikes. So that's the skills, ultimates and glyphs to consider, but what about the tactics and strategies? Let's look at a couple of combos. For this first one, you need the first primary skill, Spirit Slash, and either a spear, katana, or greatsword. To do this with the spear, tap F, then F again, crouch and right click to uppercut, and then left click in midair. This combo is almost guaranteed to hit, and it packs an explosive punch. You can also start with that spear uppercut move, and then link it into Spirit Slash, and then just do the crouch uppercut move again. It's a great way to deal some burst damage. So if you come across a spear in game, you might as well try this out, it's a really good finisher. Now this next one's actually a basic katana combo, left click, then jump and right click. Do it quick enough and it's a guaranteed hit, so if you use Spirit Slash as teleport strike, but then hold crouch to fall back to the ground, You can use this upon landing for more burst damage, even more than the spear combo. And finally, we've got Greatsword. Greatsword combos are often less reliable than other swords, but they are still feasible. Use Spirit Slash twice to knock them into the air, and then jump as soon as you land and left click. The strike will miss though if there's a height difference between you and the enemy, as you can see here, hence the need to wait until you land. The Greatsword does some impressive damage, but it's just not as reliable as a katana or the spear, but it can work as a last resort. Get the hang of these combos, and Yoto Hime will become a highly capable finisher. There's no need to just stick to these either, you can mix and match these combos with other ones and make your own playstyle. But remember about the ultimate's range, you're only able to hit targets right ahead of you or in the path of your sword swings. You can't hit anyone who's significantly higher up or below you. That's what makes the teleports in between the sword swings so useful, you can reposition, but even so it's best to avoid any overly complex terrain, as it could get in the way. Now aside from where you cast your ultimate, it's also important to consider when. I'd highly recommend you cast it while you've still got some armor left, because if you're too low on health and you cast your ultimate, you might just end up getting killed before you can even land a single swing. Even if you do land a few hits, they'll have to be fatal, otherwise you'll be finishing your ultimate with low HP and no time to heal. What's even more important than this though is how it can be interrupted. Tumultu's area control ultimate, Zephyr Prison, Vipening's Twilight Crimson stun ultimate, and Tianhai, when he's in his Vajra form, can grab you to interrupt the ultimate. It can even be interrupted by another Yoto Hime using her ultimate. There's a small window when you're first swinging down your sword, in which you could be interrupted by the other Yoto Hime. And aside from this, you can also manually interrupt it yourself. To do so, crouch, jump, or dodge, so try and avoid doing these during your ultimate unless you want to cancel it. Overall, Yoto Hime is something of a glass cannon. She has no problem dealing heavy damage, but she suffers when it comes to survivability. So if you're taking lots of damage, it's always a good move to unleash your ultimate. Otherwise, you might be out of a running before you get a chance to use it. It's worth to use a primary skill as well whenever feasible, to ensure that you stay in the offensive. It has a large range, and it recharges before too long, so there's really no point in saving it. Played properly, she can be one of the best DPS in the game. She deals huge damage, she's a very offensive character, but in order to make full use of her potential, you'll need to have a decent amount of game sense as well, and practice a lot using her. She's got something of a higher ceiling compared to some of the other heroes. That about wraps it up for this video, so I really hope you enjoyed it, and you learned something, and I'll see you around next time. Thanks for watching.